What's up, good people? Your boy Jay Holly is in the captain's seat today. I get to call the shots while our captain is away doing something he probably has no business doing. But tonight, the NFL releases its schedule. The NFL is the only league that can do this and get people to tune in. We'll talk to our friend Fran at 11:30, and we'll just hear from your quarterback, Dak Prescott, on his new weapon. This show starts now. Welcome to the DLLS Cowboys podcast, where your crew is here today. We're missing one, but that's okay. We have more than enough personalities to get you through. The NFL schedule is releasing today. We'll talk about that. Our friend Fran will call in. We'll talk about the Philly Cowboys matchup going on. But I am your host. Can I call myself Salt and Pepper Poppy?
I love that. Yeah, let's roll.
Salt and Pepper Poppy is
Jesse Holly went 77 yards. It must be a reality show.
It must be a to my right. And this will be an eventful week with this guy. Trying to keep this show on the track, not be interrupted.
Oof.
Get in and out of breaks on time. But we'll see what happens. He said he prefers to be called Chill. So to my right, the greatest beat writer in Cowboy history, Clarence Pop Hill.
Club Pop, where legends drop. Clarence Hill just can't stop. Breaking news, you gotta hop in Club Pop.
And all the way at the end, 5-0 Joe himself,
Burp,
Joe
burp.
Hoyt.
Tell him something,
Hello, something, Joe.
Bang, bong.
All right, fellas, it is NFL release day. I wrote in the notes earlier, the NFL is the only league in all of sports, not basketball, not baseball, not hockey, not soccer, at least in North America, that can get you to pay money simply to tell the world who is playing who and when.
We already know who they're playing.
We know who they're playing. We don't know when they're playing.
Yeah.
And so the Cowboys will have people gathered around. People are scouring the internet right now. You guys are checking with your sources all morning long, trying to get the layout of how the NFL schedule will be laid out. They'll have an entire show at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Sponsors are paying for this. Commercials are being played for this. It is, to me, it is one of the craziest things of what we tune into and just how cash king and sports king the NFL is.
Yeah, and there are two layers to this, and you're right. It just shows you how dominant and the interest in the NFL. What's also true is like college, and I know people who are booking trips.
Yes.
Okay, they're booking flights, they're booking hotels. It's like college. Texas plays Ohio State, open the season opener. That the flights are already crazy because people have already booked their flight and booked hotel. I wanted to go to that game. The Cowboys have a game Thursday. I can't right now get back until Monday unless I pay $900 or $1,000 for a flight. If I want to pay reasonable for a flight, I can't get back until Monday. So, but that's what they're doing. I got people that are calling me, like one of the games the Cowboys are playing the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, and one of my friends wants to throw a party. We've done it before when the Chiefs, because the Chiefs travel well. And so he's been blowing me up about, can you find a location? But they're planning events around these games because there's only 16 of them, you know, and there's 8 road games. And unlike the NBA, there's so many games. The time, date, that matters to a lot of people. Cha-ching for the NFL, cha-ching for those cities, those hotels, and the fans. They love it. They're planning their vacations around these games.
Yeah, and I also saw already just how crazy the prices are. Speaking to your point,
Yes.
Jesse, just how crazy everything financially is with the NFL these days. I think if the NFL did like weekly jersey reveals, and they sold advertising for that, they probably could get money off that too. But I saw that, our friend Jay Tuck posted right now what the going rate right now is for the Cowboys
Be
Chiefs.
very cautious with that our friend stuff.
Okay, my friend.
Okay.
the lowest price right now to get in right now to the Cowboys Chiefs Thanksgiving game. Already, it's $450. So
and he's talking about standing room. He's talking about upper level.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
talking about, he's not talking about premium seats.
No. So that's what the price
That's
to
the
get
get-in
into
price.
Thanksgiving. We already knew that one would be popping off in terms of how expensive that would be. But that's how crazy the NFL is when it comes to money.
And to your point, it used to be one day. We're gonna do it all on one day. Then the NFL got smart. Let's trick a little bit. Let's trick something out on Monday. Trick something out on Tuesday. Let's do they're milking it. They're milking it to death, and the juice is worth the squeeze.
No, it absolutely is. And we dive to it. We fall into it. We refresh our Twitter accounts, and we're checking all of our sources because it matters to us. We want to know. We want to figure out. And for us, it's different, right? As far as the games, we're going to be a part of it regardless, right?
Yeah.
We want to know how and when. And you two guys both travel to the game, so I can say as a player, when the schedule used to come out, for me, when I was with the Cowboys, the first thing that I looked at, because you knew you were playing on Thanksgiving, you knew that was already a given. So you already knew that was going to happen. It was, who do we have opening week? And then, all right, we know Philadelphia, Washington, New York. Are we playing them late December?
Right.
And is it home or away?
Right.
Is it late November, December? And who are the other cold weather teams? That's what I always look for.
Right.
Yeah.
I always look for, okay, all right, I know we got Green Bay this year. When are we going to Green Bay? Because if we're going to Green Bay in December, I got to get my mind right in September.
Chicago.
Well, yeah.
Pittsburgh.
So that was one of the things that struck out to me when they opened with Philadelphia at home, because in the last couple of years we've been playing at Philadelphia late in January and December. So Philadelphia's home. So one of these other games are going to be on the road. You're talking about Green Bay and Chicago. There was early talk about Chicago being the opener, and the Cowboys playing on the opening Sunday. Well, if they don't play Chicago early, it could be Chicago in January. And I've been there, and it is freezing. That is a frigid temperature, Chicago and Green Bay in January and December. Most likely you'll get a Giants game. Well, we also know already, in addition to the Cowboys with opening with Philadelphia, reports now coming out of New York, this first home game, second game, home opener will be Giants at home. So you can pencil a Giants game for December, January, the rematch. And I think they're playing Christmas Day where?
That's the reports are they're playing at Washington.
On Christmas Day.
That's what reports are saying.
So with Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day on Netflix. So the Chiefs are also playing Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day.
Thanks for letting me tee that up for you guys from a hoping perspective. Now that we can get into the Cowboys' schedule.
That's what we're doing.
I know, but that as the host, I tee it up and then we discuss it.
See, the thing that we got to recognize here, though, is yes, our quarterback is gone. And that means that you've
Cooper
stepped
Rush,
into quarterback. But we got Joe Milton coming up. They're trying to run the offense too.
We were talking about the schedule.
I know, but it was okay.
Go ahead.
Let's.
We were talking about the things about the schedule. That make
Two
the
quarterback
schedule unique.
offense, baby.
But we can still go back into those games. We're not
so-
stopping from doing that.
So the Cowboys open up their season against the defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Week 1, we talked about it briefly the other day in just the significance of playing your division rival. I think it's a litmus test early in the year. I think you can use that game. If it's a game where you go out and win or lose that game, you get a chance to test yourself against what the league says is the best. They won the Super Bowl. They're the best team in the league right now. And so you get a chance to go out and test yourself against the Philadelphia Eagles week 1 of the season. It's going to be must-see TV. I gave you guys the stats the other day. 49 games that NFL had in the top 75 of sporting events, in the top 100 of primetime events. 7 of those belong to the Cowboys and Eagles. So you already know it's going to be primetime entertainment for the Cowboys and the Eagles fans week 1 of the season.
Yeah, I think that with Eagles week 1, we talked about it too, and I asked you, okay, if you're a player, how excited do you get for that? And I don't think they could have picked a better ramp up, just right into the fire game for the Brian Schottenheimer era, frankly. You were throwing him right in there. You're saying, hey, that's what you want to do? You want to bring championships to Dallas? Well, there's the team that did it last year. You want to beat the man, you got to beat the man. And I think that's going to be a fascinating game. I think one thing that's developing, though, that's interesting with the Cowboys schedule so far, it better be interesting. Kansas City on Thanksgiving, right?
Can't talk about that right now.
Can I talk about that? No, we'll go back. Long story short, we'll talk about this later. Cowboys don't need primetime games to draw, right? They don't need primetime opponents to draw. especially as they're relevant in early on in the season. But kind of right now, it's kind of trending towards some of their like kind of banger opponents are the ones that are actually going on primetime games that I don't think really need it. So, is that going to be a huge boost to the NFL ratings? Or is it just going to be, hey, you know what? This is just kind of what they're going to do anyways, what they were probably going to do even if they were playing Carolina.
I would say this, in this old adage, keep what's strong, strong. Okay, just because they're going to get ratings, well, let's blow them out the wazoo. Okay?
I don't know.
Take your mic with you.
Let's blow the ratings out the wazoo. And to say that they're banger opponents, first of all, there are a lot of banger opponents. Okay? You got Green Bay coming up. There are a lot of banger opponents. Cowboys have a lot of games.
Okay, well, where would you rank Kansas City, Philadelphia on those lists, on that list?
I don't know. I put Green Bay up there.
Top three?
I put Green Bay up there. I can't recall.
I wouldn't put Green Bay above either of them.
I don't know. Last time they played Green Bay, and there's a lot of anticipation for them playing Green Bay again. I'm just saying, though, that, yes, Kansas City, Green Bay, Kansas City, Philadelphia are high. Green Bay is high. NFL's going to get ratings on all of those games, and what you're seeing though is networks are fighting over them. Okay,
yeah.
And so Fox probably wants that Green Bay game.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're giving the Netflix game, the Christmas game, Washington to Amazon or whatever else, or whatever the Netflix, whatever
Netflix is on.
They're streaming that game, and CBS is getting the Thanksgiving Day game because CBS wants some of that because you look how it was on Fox. So they're fighting over those matchups, and so. Best believe whenever they play Green Bay, the Cowboys in Green Bay are going to be on Fox.
All I know is Arizona on Thanksgiving would have worked out well.
Stop it.
From a rating standpoint?
It was going to be the highest rated game regardless, but they're going to blow it out the water with Kansas City. Make what's strong, strong. Keep what's strong, strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's always subjective when you talk about Thanksgiving games, and that's really subjective, but it's always, ain't nothing else on TV, right? Like, 9 times out of 10, after you watch the parade and most people come back inside from your family tackle football game, you're sitting around the table, like everybody is honed in on football those days. So to Joe's point, it doesn't matter who you play.
Cowboys, Raiders, Drew.
You're going to draw the ratings because ain't nothing else on TV. Everybody's around. The TV's probably going to be on a football game, whether you're a Cowboys fan or pick the team that you're playing against.
Chargers.
Everyone's gonna be watching. There's only what? There's 3 games on that day.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's watching those games. There's no other options.
You're right. Everyone's watching those games. There's one game that routinely, consistently is in that 4 o'clock window, and there's one team that consistently, because the other top teams have played at that night game, they played the early game. There's only one team in their games consistently get the most ratings. Everybody's watching.
Let me ask you this
Everybody's
question.
watching, but there's one team that gets the most ratings every year.
Was that something that Jerry negotiated when he negotiated the whole?
I think he's been grandfathered into this.
Has he been grandfathered into that time slot?
It was just prior to Jerry.
That's Tex.
Tex Schramm.
Yeah, Tex Schramm.
Sorry, Tex Schramm. Have they been grandfathered into that time
pretty much
all those years? So it's not like it's just they've been in that time slot forever.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes them America's team. I mean, that's part of the whole conversation. These were all calculated moves, marketing moves. The Cowboys actually volunteered to be on Thanksgiving Day because back in the day, it wasn't a Thanksgiving Day tradition. They decided, hey, we want to do Thanksgiving Day. They made an NFL tradition. Mm-hmm. They were part of the team. And then they said, well, it's going to be Cowboys in Detroit. But the Cowboys and their success on Thanksgiving Day before they became America's team is what kind of made it a tradition. It wasn't like the NFL say, we're just going to put you there. This was part of the Cowboys' decision-making. Tex Schramm's brilliant decision-making marketing to make it a game. But I'm not just, yes, anybody they play was draw ratings. And yes, the NFL could have done that. They chose to do this. And there's nothing wrong with them choosing to do this because it will be a ratings bonanza.
I don't think it's going to do much different. I don't think it's going to do much different. I think they were going to draw regardless.
Okay.
All right, let's get ready to take our first break of the show. We got Dak Prescott coming up talking on the radio today. We hear him talk about the upcoming season, and we hear him talk about his new weapon and how he's excited to have George Pickens opposite of CeeDee Lamb. Stay right here with us. This is DLLS Cowboys Podcast. Let me tell you about our great friends over at Lucy. Now, we know that Jeff is the resident Lucy user and dealer on this show.
You might got Lucy right now.
He has no other choice but to have Lucy. He's on a plane somewhere. He got his Lucy, and the thing that he loves about, he talks about, hey, this winter green is my thing. I go to the winter green, and the thing about Lucy is like they have these little pockets, right? You put it in your mouth and you crack on the pocket, and it releases this hydration, of flavor, of hydration, and it's for long lasting. Now he's a 12 milligram kind of guy. That's a little bit high in that realm of Lucy, but he raves about it. If you are the type that like this type of product, 100%. Pure nicotine, tobacco free, then you need to head over right now to Lucy's.co. Use the promo code DLLS and get 20% off. It delivers right to your front door. You do not have to worry about going to the store anymore. But always remember, Lucy is a product for only adults of legal age. Every order is age verified. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. And also tell you about my friends over at Mando. I love this stuff. I finally got some product.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I got some product. And while I don't recommend you not showering for 72 hours,
and use a wash rag when you do.
Well, yes, I agree.
Use Mando if you don't.
Use Mando if you don't. It's clinically proven that it can keep the odor away for up to 72 hours. Now, I don't recommend that, because listen, we're guys. It's 100 degrees today in Dallas. Well, we'll
Wild.
be. All right.
And where can you put Mando?
You can put it, spray right underneath your balls. Your balls get a little musty.
It's the grundle, right?
The grundle, your balls. If you got man breasts, you spray it underneath that. Like you put it, it's an everywhere deodorant to keep it down. Head over to Mando.com. Sorry.
Why you KG? Why you call out KG?
Stop. DLLS is the promo code. Head over to Mando.com today.
Messy.
Why you do that?
You messy, bro.
You messy.
messy.
You messy, bro.
You're messy.
Why are you so messy, man? All right, man. Dak Prescott, Cowboys quarterback, was on the radio this morning, and of course, when Dak talks, we listen. And did you still have the quotes, Clarence?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so Dak Prescott was on the radio this morning, and he talked about initially opening up the season. He's excited about opening up the season, playing against Philadelphia. Iron sharpen irons. And if you could read the quotes that he had from the radio this morning.
Well, what he said about the Eagles, I'm not Eagles. Yeah, starting the Eagles, my bad. Excited to start this thing off against the defending Super Bowl champions. Excited to start this thing off against the defending Super Bowl champions, he said on their ticket. Of course he's going to say that. Dak also said a couple of weeks ago, in trouble, we ain't scared of Philly. We beat them. We own them. We have had a lot of success against Philly. Remember?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, he said, what's the gap between you and Philly? I think he's ready for him is what he said.
Another reason why I'm happy the Cowboys are playing Philadelphia early in the year, hopefully, knock on wood, that you'll have a healthy Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
That you'll have a healthy Dak Prescott to play against what I'm going to assume is a healthy Jalen Hurts, and those two guys can go at it. These games have been missed by quarterbacks being injured the last couple of years. So at least we can almost kind of guarantee that Dak will be healthy for week 1 of the season, and that way the Cowboys will be able to go in there with the full clip loaded.
They've only played 3 times.
Which is wild.
There's 3 times. And all the time since Jalen Hurts has been starting quarterback and since Dak has been there, they've only had 3 matchups. Dak is 2-1 against Jalen Hurts. They don't want to tell you that in Philly. They're going to say, we went to the Super Bowl. But Dak has owned Philly, and he's actually 2-1 against Hurts. Those are the facts, not feelings, not emotions. Those are the facts.
Is it ever going to be a fair, because they obviously play the same position, is it ever a fair apples-to-apples comparison when you're trying to compare Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts? Or are the factors surrounding both teams too drastic to compare just quarterback versus quarterback?
Ask the great quarterback in Miami. What's his name? I can't even think of his
Tua?
name. No.
Dan Marino?
Dan Marino.
Yeah.
One of the greatest throwers of the football
100%.
ever. Went to 1 Super Bowl.
And lost.
When we talk about when we talk about great quarterback, he gets left out. It's not fair. He didn't have what's around Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't have a defense. He never run a game. He didn't have what's around John Elway and some of those guys. But when we talk about the GOATs of the game, we don't talk about Dan Marino.
I know.
And we should.
How old was he when Bob Hayes was playing?
We're not going to diss Bob Hayes. We're not going to diss Bob Hayes. We're not going to diss Bob Hayes right now.
Quarterback play in the National Football League a lot of times is judged by one thing and one thing only. It's the rings. It's the only position that we judge by the rings. You have great players at other positions, receiver, running back, lineman, who don't win. They're in the Hall of Fame who don't have the victories. The quarterback position is the only position that we justify their greatness by the level of championships they got. And that's always going to be a metric that they use until it's been that way before us. It's going to be that way after us. Right. And unfortunately, currently where we sit today, that's the one thing that eludes Dak Prescott.
And unless we know football, and I know you know football, QB wins is not a real stat. It's not a team stat. I mean, I'm sorry. Team wins is not a QB stat. It's everybody involved. It's 11 on 11. It's one thing why I've emphasized as we celebrated Tyron Smith, as we celebrated Zach Martin.
We celebrated Tyron Smith.
As the world
kicked the man in his back.
As the world has celebrated
you
them,
kicked the man in his back.
He wasn't even fully retired from the beginning, yet. It's on their ledger too. I've said that. I've been consistent with that.
You have.
We go crazy over Tony Romo. We go crazy over Dak Prescott. We don't put none of this drought on their ledger. Go back to Jason Witten. Go back to all those guys. That's some of that work too.
Yeah.
We go back to Tank, and we love Tank Lawrence. Love what he's done. But
he loved the culture here,
but to act like what he was doing before Michael Parsons got here, and Michael Parsons all wrong, it didn't lead to nothing.
No.
And that's how it's on their ledger too. It's not just about the quarterback. And so we look at these quarterbacks and like I love the conjecture with your guy Brock Purdy. And for the last, Brock Purdy's better than Dak. Brock Purdy's better than Dak. San Francisco ain't trying to pay Brock Purdy.
No.
Okay? San Francisco ain't trying to pay Brock Purdy. Even though he's been to the Super Bowl, even though he's led them to the championship game, we all know what he is. We all know if you watch the game, we know the team around him and all this stuff is part of his success. He will not get close to top quarterback money. So let's stop the junk about him being better than Dak just because he's been to the Super Bowl.
Well, also money isn't the reason why you are a good quarterback. There's been a lot of high-paid bad quarterbacks. But the reason I brought up that question is because I do want to offer the caveat to us as we prepare. We're going to be talking about this Week 1 game a lot, right? I mean, Jesse, I'm sure when they're talking, even in huddles and training camp and stuff, it's Philly's going to be like the team if they're going to fixate on a little bit. The reason I want to offer that caveat is let's not make Week 1 the final answer for the Dak Prescott versus Hurts debate. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are going to say, hey, finally have this matchup. If Dak goes out and throws for 5 touchdowns and Jalen struggles, okay, let's just not make this one game the deciding factor in that argument, because I don't know if this really an apples-apples comparison right now between those two quarterbacks.
Well, it's because of the team around him.
That's my point.
But the good news is Dak also talked about something else on the ticket this morning.
He did. Dak Prescott got a new toy. He got a new toy in his arsenal, opposite of CeeDee Lamb, of course, the trade of George Pickens, and the first opportunity that you got to hear Dak speak about his new weapon on the outside.
Dak Prescott on the ticket. We've connected. I'm excited. You turn on the tape. You still got to catch the football. You put the football anywhere in his vicinity. Very strong hands. More than a 50-50 catcher. He thinks it's his ball when it's in the air. I'm excited for him. I know we needed some help at that position. It's hard to double two guys. I think we're putting together a nice group of weapons. He also added, I know CD needs help. And I think when you have a guy like that, I heard George say it's hard to double team two guys. That's when you got other guys. And then when you got other guys, whether it be Ferg or Tolbert or Mingo, guys who've had reps and know how to get open in the league, I think we're putting together a nice group of weapons. So Dak told me before the draft, yes, I love Mingo, I love Ferg, I love Tolbert, I like we have coming back, but we need help. Jerry Jones said we need help. They went and got him some help. They're happy with the help.
Can I be messy?
Yeah,
be
go
messy,
for it.
Jesse.
Because and I've been critical of this player.
Which player?
If Micah would have made that statement of that Dak made talking about, I know that we needed help over there.
Yeah, we need help,
We would have crushed him. We would have said, how dare you as a leader of this team come out there and openly talk bad about the other receivers that you had over there. He tried to come back in the second half of that statement and incorporate the Mingos and the Pulberts of the world. But, I mean, he made a very definitive and clear statement in that, is that they ain't it. They ain't it, and we need a lot of help over there. And those guys that we've had here who I've worked with, those guys just ain't it.
But you know why I think it works for Dak? Because everything he's saying there.
Because we want it to work for Dak.
I mean, that's a fair counterpoint. That's a fair argument.
We want it to work for Dak.
No.
We want to make Dak the good leader and say the right thing. Hold him up there.
We don't, but I think that public perception and kind of that's the aura around him versus, Micah, that he doesn't have that yet. But I think the reason it works for Dak, despite that, is that I think everything he's talking about, he's telling his own guys. He told Jalen Tolbert last year, okay, you need to step up. Like, you need to start playing like a number one. He didn't, right? And I think everything he's saying about what CeeDee Lamb needs and what George Pickens is going to bring, those are things he would tell all those guys without hesitation. One other thought I had about this comment, though, from Dak, I think this is going to be a big boost for Jake Ferguson, too, going into a contract year. I think, obviously George Pickens is going to help out CeeDee Lamb to be the number two. That kind of allows CeeDee Lamb to work the middle. I think George Pickens is going to be the big security blanket on the outside for Dak Prescott. Hey, I'm in trouble, throw it up there. I think it's going to open up the seams more, though, for Jake Ferguson. Finally healthy after a weird year last year. Jake Ferguson, it's so funny. He, even to this day, he doesn't admit that last year was injuries and then the concussion. He never wants to admit that, but it kind of felt like it was all season. I think that this is going to be a big boost to Jake Ferguson as well as CeeDee Lamb.
Who am I? Who am I?
I don't know. Who are you?
Who am I, Jesse?
I don't know.
Who am I? Who am I, people?
Who are you?
Who am I? When somebody does this, who is that?
We're not getting the reference.
Jesse, who am I?
What are you talking about, bro?
We are not getting the reference, so tell us.
Who am I, young man?
Tell us the reference.
Young man, who am I? Thank you. Stevie Wonder can see that the Cowboys need help every receiver. Jack ain't saying nothing crazy.
All right, I was going to say Stevie Wonder, but I didn't want to be presumptuous.
Come on, man. Come on. Stevie Wonder can see that, right?
I didn't want to be presumptuous.
Ray Charles can see that. We talked about CD and a bunch of maybes. Everybody knows it. Jerry Jones openly talked about it.
It's
Stephen
Timu
Jones,
Stevie Wonder.
What did he say?
Someone called you Timu Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, everybody knows it's Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder can see it's been CD and a bunch of maybes. He can see they need help. It's something that's openly talked about it. Jerry, Steven, everybody talked about it. That's why everybody was crazy before the draft. So Dak is not saying anything controversial. He's not throwing his teammates under the bus. He's actually towing the company line. And that's been, Stephen Jones the other day talking about this is our new Dez Bryant, what he brings. Everybody knows it's something they needed. So he's not going on a limb. And I really wish Micah Parsons, that you invoked Micah Parsons, would say the same thing. He needs help on defense. There's no other player on defense.
Oh, he said that.
In the front seven who is a Pro Bowler, All-Pro, difference-making player. They need help. You're not going to win the Super Bowl. You look what the Eagles have, and I've said this as I was blue in the face. Jalen Hurts, great quarterback. He got the best running back, MVP, back in the backfield. He got 2 first-round receivers. He got the best offensive line in football.
Yeah.
He got a defense full of first-round picks and top players. That's how you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, Dak, this is not controversial or crazy. It shouldn't even be close to you're throwing your teammates in the bus and a sign of a bad lead. We've been saying the right thing. We like our guys around there for too long. Dak said that last year after they got him no help. I like our guys. I'm just going to, we can make it work. Damn that. It's time. That's over.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. I mean, that's over. It's damn that.
I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just saying it's funny.
It is funny.
How we pick and choose who says things and how we can. And I'm saying that as somebody who picks and chooses.
Right. And I'm saying that I never thought Micah's podcasts were a problem. And I think we choose to focus on the wrong thing. I'd rather have 11 Micah Parsons than guys that can't pee or drop.
We've also talked about Micah's kind of ability sometimes to say things. I don't know if he actually he can kind of go off in tangents sometimes and say wordings of things that I don't know if he wholeheartedly believes in the moment.
As a rookie, we celebrated. Everybody ate everything. When they love Micah, the Lion, and they celebrated it. Now that they're not winning, it's what'll make you laugh and make you cry. Now it's like, Micah's just saying stuff again.
It's a fine line.
It's an absolutely fine line. All right, coming up next, we have our friend. We'll talk a little bit about Philadelphia Cowboys Week 1. Our friend from Philly, Fran Duffy, joins the show. Stay right here with us. This is the DLS Cowboys podcast. We'll be right back. Put your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stat each week. Right now, hockey is hot in the DFW. The Stars are up 3-1.
We're talking sleeper?
It's Sleeper.
Oh, okay.
My good friends at Sleeper.
Put them to sleep, baby.
Yeah, my good friends at Sleeper. Hockey's happening right now. We also got NBA playoffs are happening right now. Anthony Edwards is lighting it up. The Warriors might not be around much longer, but this week with Sleeper, there's more picks you can buy, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Sleeper keeps you in the loop with instant alerts, with breaking news and major injuries. Stay ahead of the game and keep track of the league updates in real time. You'll always be informed and ready to outsmart all of your friends. If you think you got what it takes, new users can download Sleeper app and use the code DLLS BOYS. Get $50 off in entry fees when you place a $5 contest. Apply to any contest. Does not have to be your first. Terms and conditions may apply. See Sleeper's terms and for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And also, let me tell you about my friends at Ownwell. Owning a house is cool. It's fun. It's enjoyable. You have a great space. You can have friends come over. You can do all that kind of stuff. But then you get that bill, that property tax bill. You wonder why your mortgage is so high and it keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And you're like, how do I going to pay for this? Well, our friends at Ownwell, what they do is they go in and they protest your property tax. In most cases, they can save you money and you pay nothing up front with Ownwell. All you do is you sign up. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to sign up. Once you do that, they do all the work. Head over to ownwell.com/DLLS and get signed up today. They take care of all the headache, all the work, and they save you a bunch of money. Ownwell.com/DLLS. We got Fran. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. Do we have them? No? All right, let's go to the super chats then. Let's see what we have in the super chats. Got some super chats right there. You got to blow this up because I cannot see.
You want me to read it?
What I would be saying, boys, I got to... Huh?
Nothing. Okay.
Oh, this is from Freak Jesus, Clay Freak Jesus. What I've been saying, boys, I got a major backup now. Mr. 8 himself. Oh, talking about Troy Aikman. He said that the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. We are going to the bowl, boys.
Troy was trolling. Did you hear the laugh, the giggle? But hey, if that's what you need to believe, then believe. Troy was trolling.
I thought Troy had AI mouth. It looked like he was really, like talking. It was like somebody had put the mouth on him to make him say
AI mouth.
But it was like Joe Buck said. Then he said Dallas. He just jumped out there. Cowboys.
We got Dirk with the super chat. Jesse said, "Don't call that dude my friend." Like,
yeah, hey, that's what happened.
Talking about Mickey?
No. Whoa. What about Dro?
My friend either.
What about Dro knows?
Dro knows. Hey Jesse, is it flooding in the studio?
That's his fashion. That's his fashion, man.
My pants are fine. My pants are hiked up here with my.
Why they hiked up there?
Because the way I'm sitting. Dang. I got to leave a little room for the gooch.
We got another reported game for the Cowboys.
Oh, do we?
We
got Fran. All right, let's hear the game before we get to Fran.
Yeah.
What game
season
is that?
finale. Okay. Regular season finale in New York against the Giants.
Cold weather game.
Another cold weather game.
Cold weather game. All right, let's go to our boy Fran. Yeah.
What up?
What up? What up? What up?
What's happening, guys? How's everything down there?
And scheduled release day. It's always one that is super exciting. Nobody does it like the NFL, that keeps you glued into their stuff 24/7, 365. Has this always been a great fun day for you, Fran, when the NFL schedule gets released?
No. I honestly my big thing is all right, let's check and get an early beat on holiday games and things like that. When's the bye week? Working with the Eagles for 13 years, 14 years, that was always front of mind for me and my schedule, my family, my wife, my mom, my family was all right, when are we going to see you in the fall? So try and knock that out, but outside of that, it's more just filling out the calendar.
Fran, I've already booked my hotel for the Eagles game at the airport. So, that's one thing we do. You see the schedule, you get to book your hotels because they go fast. Obviously, Eagles, Cowboys, week 1, season opener, first kickoff game of everybody. How surprised are you that the Eagles, Cowboys, not Eagles, Washington, and rematch of the NFC Championship game? And can you talk about the matchups in that game for us?
Yeah, I think it'll be exciting. Obviously, anytime it's Eagles Cowboys, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it. So, from that respect, I was surprised that they decided, all right, let's make this the opener, because I think everybody would be watching the opener regardless. I remember exactly where I was. I was a young teenager when this last time this happened. That was the pickle juice game in 2000, 2001. So
I was covering.
Yeah, that was a good one for Eagles fans for sure. But I think when you're looking at this matchup, look, there's going to be a lot of reasons to be excited about it. Obviously the Eagles coming off that Super Bowl run. Dallas is going to feel good after the offseason they had. We talked about the draft class, but you add in George Pickens and changes along the coaching staff. It's going to be certainly a fun matchup to break down as we get closer.
Fran, obviously you talk draft. They draft Tyler Booker to be the guy, to be an instant impact guy. The first thing he talks about, or one of the first things he says at his press conference is, hey, I'm coming here to negate Jalen Carter. I want to go up against him. Well, he gets his wish in week 1. After the Eagles, reportedly, the Cowboys are going to play the Giants, which is another tough interior defensive line. Long story short, for Tyler Booker, how much of a trial by fire, instant impact litmus test do we have coming up for him?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that when you look at it, it's not just it doesn't end with Lawrence either, because then you go to Washington and you got Deron Payne, who's another one of these guys that has that ability to win with power, to win with quickness off the ball, win with his hands at the top of the arc. So with all three of those players, you've just got literally the full gamut of challenges for an interior offensive lineman. And when I watch Tyler Booker, one of the things that he hangs his hat on is his play strength, his ability to hold firm in the pocket. So him versus Dexter Lawrence, Lawrence is one of the most powerful human beings on the planet. And so that's going to be a fun matchup. Jalen Carter, he's got that unique ability to beat you in a couple different ways, much like Payne. And so, maybe on the first snap, he's going to try and win with quickness, that upfield first step. And then, all right, now I'm going to try and see if I can set up my power move. And then I'm going to try and work my hands. And it's just going to be that constant chess match. So that's going to be very, very fun to be able to watch on a down-by-down basis. We were already kind of having that fun when I remember Jalen Carter, when he went up against Tyler Smith, in their first matchup in Carter's rookie year, just going back and all right, let me just run through all 18 times these guys got matched up together one-on-one. Now we get to do that with Booker, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Fran, I know it's a long way away, but this is what we do, right? We talk football 365. For the Cowboys-Eagles matchup, from the Philadelphia side, what are some of the holes that they still have that the Cowboys may be able to exploit, or even now, they'll try to improve those things. But if you're looking at the team right now, what is one area you can come in and go, boy, if they played today, the Cowboys would probably be able to attack this?
I think one of the big questions going into training camp for the Eagles will be, all right, the D-line rotation. You lose Milton Williams in free agency. You lose Josh Sweat in free agency. You lose Brandon Graham to retirement. So who are the guys that step into those roles? Are you able to kind of keep up that same level of play? They've got a lot of faith just because of how many assets they've plugged into that over the years, not just this offseason, but, over the last 2-3 years where, all right, we have guys that are getting ready to step up, and kind of ascend into that role. And so Moro Ojama, a Texas guy. He's a guy that is ready to kind of step into that potential Milton Williams role. They went out and they spent money on some lower end free agents off the edge. So it's a matter of who of those guys is going to be able to kind of take that next step. And so when you look at Azeez Ojulari, they brought in from New York. They brought in Josh Uche, former second-round pick from the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you start to look around, who are some of the other pieces? Jalex Hunt, last year's third-round pick. And so just figuring out that defensive line rotation. But as far as an area that Dallas could try and attack, will be, all right, in the back seven, they move on from C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's going to be that other starter at safety next to Reed Blankenship. N'Kobe Dean is injured. He's almost certainly not going to play in week 1. So who's going to be the starter at that second spot? Is it going to be Jeremiah Trotter Jr. or is it going to be the rookie Jahad Campbell? Campbell's coming off shoulder surgery. My gut tells me he's probably not ready for week 1. So it's probably going to be a second-year guy in Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And so they also lose Darius Slay in free agency, who's going to be their starter at corner. So I think when you look at the back seven, that's probably the area where Dallas goes in, all right, can we find some of these matchups that will work in our favor?
I'm glad that I got a couple of questions for you, but I'm going to stick right there. I'm going to piggyback on that back seven because you're a draft Nick. You focus on the draft. Where did you have George Pickens rated coming out of the draft, barring the off-the-field stuff as a player? And Cowboy fans say the Cowboys got a better receiving corps than the Eagles now with CD and from talent standpoint.
Hold on.
From a talent standpoint, they got CD and George compared to your two guys. how do you see that?
Also, full disclosure, 2 of us on this panel still said the Eagles, just FYI.
Yeah, I would say that AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith are better than CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, just because. Yeah, and we can make the argument. All right, where is CD like on that arc? But I think to me, Pickens is clearly number 4. From that pecking order for me. I think when you look at just the versatility that all those guys bring, I think that Pickens just does a little bit less for you in that way. And I don't think that's a bad talent. We talked last week. I think there was a fine trade, a fine decision to make for Dallas. The talent speaks for itself with Pickens. I was a little bit further down the board on Pickens overall.
Wow.
Obviously, the off-field notwithstanding, he was coming off the ACL injury. He was a little bit limited in terms of his overall skill set. For me personally, like my personal favorite flavor of wide receiver, that's just not my bag. Like the pure outside the numbers, ball winner, I'll go above the rim and that's all I do. That's what I hang my hat on. That's usually not the guy that I usually trend towards. And so, for me, I was a little bit lower on Pickens just in it. But again, had a starting grade on him. But that was a guy that I was not as high on as some other people in the space.
And coming out of the draft, not many people were high on AJ Brown either.
Right, no question, and because he was a guy that played primarily in the slot. But that's the thing is that with AJ, he has shown all right, I can do a lot of different things for you. You want to give me shallow crosses and give me the ball and I'll be a beast after the catch, or on slant routes over the middle. Yeah, I got you. You want me to line up outside the numbers and be a vertical guy? You want me to carve guys up, on the perimeter as a one-on-one guy? I've got that ability to do that too. And so, his versatility obviously is one of the things that's allowed him to ascend to that upper echelon at the position.
And Pickens will be in a real offense for the first time this year, so we'll probably see a little more of that. Another thing, you didn't really answer my first question about Washington. With all the hype of the championship game, Jaden Daniels, if you're going to pick a division opponent to start the season off with, why not Washington?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question is all right, well, if you do want to try and ride that wave, do you want to, put Washington in that spot? Or are you going to make the argument that with Jaden Daniels and, with the way that team really took that next step last year, do you want to save that for a little bit later down the road in the schedule in terms of trying to get more eyeballs? Like I said, it's the opener, it's the NFL season opener. Everybody's going to be watching that game. Last year it was Eagles Packers, and it was all right, yeah, we're everybody. If you're a fan in right. Spokane, you're watching that game, right? And so I think at the end of the day, those are all the calls that the decision makers had to make when they were putting this thing together.
Fran, 2-part question for you. One, are you guys at PHLY sending Eagles fans into our chat? Because one phenomenon this last week is we've had a lot of Eagle fans coming in to bicker. And the second part of the question, the one thing they're often bickering about is Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott. One thing I'm kind of caveating is, yes, we're finally probably going to get a healthy matchup between those 2 starting quarterbacks once again. I wouldn't say that whatever happens to that game is the end-all, be-all in that argument. They're a little bit apples to oranges. So, 1, are you sending fans into our chat? And 2, where do you stand on that kind of argument?
I don't believe anybody is sending them into their chat. I know, look, it's that time of year now that the draft has ended. Eagles fans are kind of sitting on their hands, all right, what do we do now? So we know that it's going to be Eagles Cowboys in week 1. Let's get ahead of this and trying to poke the bear a little bit. And so that does not shock me. As far as the Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott thing, it's tough, man. To me, if for purely playing the quarterback position, from the pocket, Dak's better right now. To me, Dak's a better, pure operate the pocket, go through progressions, play the position from in that way. Dak is a better player. I do think that the results kind of speak for themselves. I think the highs, the ultimate highs, in moments in crunch time, Jalen has come through better than and more consistently than Dak has. And then certainly he's got the hardware to speak for it as well. And so it's tough to argue, with the results in that way. But if you're just kind of grading it in a vacuum, who plays the quarterback position better, in terms of pure passer, you would say that it's Dak. Now, again, Jalen does a lot with his legs that Dak used to do that he's kind of fallen off in that way. Maybe that's injury, age, whatever that is. But I think that that's the extra element that Jalen certainly still brings to the table.
Fran, we appreciate you, brother. Take care. See you next week.
2-1, baby. 2-1.
We will talk next week.
2-1.
Take care, Fran.
All right, coming up next, we'll go back and we'll recap some of those matches that we know so far with the Cowboys. Another team has been added into the end of the schedule. We now know the Cowboys will play the Giants at the end of the year. So So stay right here with us. We'll be right back. This is the DLS Cowboys podcast. What city do you know that can deliver not one, not two, not three, but 4 major sports teams the way that DFW does? And what better place than to get all of that covered under one umbrella? Are you a diehard? Have you committed yourself to truly being a DFW sports fan? I'm looking on the website right now. Stars are up 3-1. There's a story by Sean. The Rangers are trying to find their bats. There's a story by Jeff Wilson. The Cowboys take on the Chiefs on Thanksgiving game. There's a story by yours truly. Well, not yours truly, but him.
Chill, heel.
Unk.
And of course, the Mavs now have the #1 overall pick. So of course, there's stories up there by Tim Cato. Everywhere you turn, you're getting top-notch coverage. You need to sign up to be a diehard. Just go ahead and do it. Spend the money. It's okay. A lot of y'all still got some of that little leftover tax money. Spend the tax money and become a diehard. You get a cool shirt. Okay, that pays for just about all of the membership right there.
Speaking of the shirts, we have the clearance sale going on right now. Up to 75% off on merch.
Is the clearance sale still going on? The
Oh,
clearance
there it
sale
is.
is still going on. Not to be confused with the clearance sale. The clearance sale is still going on. You get up to 75% off. Get a t-shirt for you, for a loved one, for anyone else. So if you become a member, you get a free shirt. And then you can go buy a shirt that you can probably find one up to 75% off. You're winning. Head over to alldls.com and become a member today. We got great things. You get a carrying card. We have the Discord where we talk about feet and football and hockey and all those other things. But feet is the Discord that I'll be in. I'll be leading that Discord. So head over to alldls.com and become a member today. All right. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We got to get the likes up.
Yeah, we got to get them likes
Jeff's
up.
away, man. We got to make sure we get the likes up or we'll all be fired when he comes back. Joe, you mentioned right before Fran came on that another team was revealed.
Yeah, Art Stapleton, who covers the Giants for USA Today, he's the one that reported the Week 2 game about the Giants coming here to Dallas for the Dallas season opener. Also reporting via his sources that the Cowboys are going to New York in the season finale. So if you kind of look at the reports right now, that's 2 potential cold weather games going to DC and Christmas and Giants end of the season. 2 potential cold weather games.
Yeah, the Christmas game, DC is funny. It's not like New York. And
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't generally get that cold, but that New York game is going to be cold.
For sure.
And so we knew that when the Giants and when you have Philadelphia early, one of those NFC road games, they're going to be late in the season. They're going to be cold. They like to end the season. The good news is, hopefully, we on our hopium, game won't mean much. Giants will be out. They'll be playing for another draft pick, as they've been over the last few years.
That's
Hopium.
Can't use that word. People said they're going to beat me up for using that
I
word.
don't know. They ain't gonna beat me up. They might beat you up. They gonna beat me up.
Gonna beat me up.
Come get some, or else.
The Giants are weird this year, though.
They are weird. They still ain't got a damn quarterback.
No, I know, and that's the problem.
Until
they
you
keep
get
coming
a
back
quarterback,
to.
I can't consider you.
But when
They
you
have
have
no quarterback.
when you have a theoretical defense like they have,
They've been had a
on
theoretical
paper,
defense. Been having Dexter Lawrence.
I mean, right now that defense looks pretty good. All I'm saying is like
They-
quarterback.
They
despite
don't.
the quarterback,
Why is Washington considered one of the top
because
teams?
Jaden Daniels,
'Cause they got a
and because they
quarterback.
used like $80
'Cause
million
they-
in free
'cause
agency,
but
and they got new ownership, and they
Before
got a
they
new
used
coach.
$80 million for free agency, they got their quarterback last year. They went to the championship again. They got a quarterback.
Yeah.
The Giants
And they got
don't
a
have
new
a
owner, and
quarterback.
they got a.
Until they get a quarterback. I'm sorry, Cat. Until they get a quarterback, we can't consider Giants.
Also, nice hair. It looks really good.
we can't get a Giants.
I
Don't
like it.
run
I like it.
until they prove they got a quarterback.
I was going to ask Fran, we ran out of time a little bit, but I'm just thinking about all the changes. Philadelphia's going through some coaching changes as well. The Cowboys have a new coaching staff.
For sure.
But this is Jalen Hurts. Third, fourth offensive coordinator?
Third straight for sure, and
Third
probably
straight.
fourth. It's probably at least 4 since he's been there.
Who will have the coaching competitive advantage come week 1 between Philadelphia?
The good news is for the Eagles, as we found out last year, is that regardless of who the offense coordinator is, they run the Eagles offense. And Kellen Moore did not. You talked to Mike McCarthy. Kellen Moore did not run Kellen Moore offense. He ran the Eagles offense. We're going to tush push. we're gonna do Jaden Daniels stuff. We're gonna do stuff that fits their quarterback.
Jalen
Hurts stuff. So, and that was directed by the head coach. So when they promoted someone inside to be the offense coordinator from the head coach, they're running what they've been running. And so the continuity there with the coach, with the running back, with the receivers, they have the advantage.
Yeah, especially when you consider who their DC is too. And I think that's a guy who's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And I would give the coaching advantage to the Eagles.
For sure.
I mean, you can talk about Nick Sirianni. You know, I'm personally not the biggest fan of him as a head coach, but ultimately they won a Super Bowl with a stacked roster, so you kind of have to tip your cap a little bit.
Right. It's the same thing like when we talk about quarterbacks here earlier.
Yeah.
You know, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. That's why it drives me crazy when we only judge quarterback who got the Super Bowl. There's a lot of bad quarterbacks.
Trent
a lot
Dilfer
of bad quarterbacks, well, average quarterbacks. I won't say bad. Average quarterbacks win a Super Bowl because of the team around it. No one thinks Nick Sirianni is a great coach or even a great human being, but he's been to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. So you got to tip your cap to something, yeah.
And I don't think historically he's as good a coach as Mike McCarthy ever was. But he's been to 2 Super Bowls. Mike McCarthy's been to 1. So you got to give him his due. And the same thing with the quarterback argument. Yes, we all know Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts doing quarterback things. But Jalen Hurts had more success in the playoffs, been to a couple of Super Bowls. It is what it is.
Jesse, what team that we haven't been revealed yet for the Cowboys, when you kind of look at their matchups, like I'm thinking of like Detroit, right? Is that a team would you rather play early on or late? Or like what other kind of like thoughts you guys have just as we prepare for tonight's schedule reveal, kind of like in terms of where you would want to see some of these teams?
I want to see the teams that are really, really good as early as possible.
Mm.
One, because you know that your team for the most part will be healthy. And I think that's a big factor for the Cowboys. I mean, you look at last year's Cowboys team.
Yeah.
Of course, Dak went down with the hamstring injury. Micah missed a month of football. I mean, the injuries were ravished with injuries all across the board.
D-Law.
D-Law got hurt. So for me, at least those games that will require the Cowboys very, very, very best. I would want all systems go early in the year for a game like Detroit, like Philadelphia. You know, I know we'll play. By the time Thanksgiving comes, Kansas City will. You know, by the time Thanksgiving comes, Kansas City is Kansas City. Like they
get better as the season goes on.
They get better as the season goes on. You know, I don't want them to figure out stuff and have things all planned out and have a rhythm and all that kind of good stuff. So I want to play those tougher opponents as much as I possibly can earlier in the year, just because I want to be healthy and I want to be able to be at my very best and give my team a chance.
You know, Joseph in the chat, can you scroll down just a little bit? Just a little bit. Scroll down just a little bit.
Scroll up.
Yeah, right there. Thank you. Joseph says Prime Dez never got to play with a player like CeeDee Lamb's caliber. That is true. CeeDee and Pickens. Pickens never got to play with a receiver like CeeDee. And CeeDee never got to play with. I mean, so I think that's going to be a good tandem, and they're going to play off each other. He's right. Prime Dez never, when they double teamed him, they were really never that guy to take some of the heat off of him. One thing that we haven't noted, and we've talked about the Chiefs game, and I always put things in historical context in the 30-year drought. They played the Chiefs on Thanksgiving.
You are the oldest one on this show.
That's right. So experience matters, and if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And you know we got to put things in context.
I feel like some hopium's coming on after this.
You know, it's interesting that you say that.
It better be interesting.
So the last time the Cowboys played the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, when was it?
Didn't they go to a Super Bowl?
1995.
Yep.
The last time the Cowboys hosted the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, 1995. You know how the Cowboys ended the season? Super Bowl champs. Their last trip to the Super Bowl. So that ushered in the 29-year drought. Maybe they talking about the NBA rigged. Maybe the NFL's rigged. Maybe the NFL's, maybe, you know, the people putting something out there. They put it in the universe. They put it in the universe.
Well, you know what else they put in the universe then is the last time the Cowboys opened up against the Eagles in a season opener. Was Pickle Juice game, the first game of the Dave Campo era. Now you get the first game of the Brian Schottenheimer era. And how did that go, Clarence?
Listen. The thing about stats and stuff, you can
manipulate them
to how you want to manipulate them, right? You can manipulate how you want to. But I'm just saying, since we're talking about the schedule, we're talking about the news of the day, because that was the news of the other day. Today's news is the Chiefs. And the Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day, the last time they hosted the Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day, the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl. Take it to the bank, people.
Doesn't Jerry and what's the owner of the Chiefs?
Chill got the script.
Lamar
The
Hunt.
Hunts.
Lamar
Don't
Hunt.
they
Who
have
live
like
in Dallas.
They live. They're neighbors.
Yeah, Highland
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah, they're neighbors.
Well,
yeah,
you know why?
Yeah, because Dallas. I mean, the Chiefs.
We got the history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
You got the history because you didn't know about the other history in the '60s. I didn't want to make sure you got
what
that.
other history I didn't know in the '60s
Man,
about
come
who
on.
the first
Bob Lilly.
I know Bob Lilly. I knew all those people. I didn't know the guy.
Wait, no, who's the quarterback? LeBaron. What's
You
the first
Eddie
name?
LeBaron, first quarterback of
Eddie
the
LeBaron?
Cowboys.
Leave it to Beaver's dad. I don't
So-
care. I didn't,
How many people in the chat know Eddie LeBaron? Go.
If you're a real Cowboys fan, you know Eddie LeBaron's first quarterback. But check this out. They're neighbors. Dallas Texans, Lamar Hunt owned them. The Cowboys ran the Texans to Kansas City.
Yeah.
They ran them out of town.
Don't they have like a little trophy that they kind of pass back and forth to each other?
Yeah, I
Isn't it
think
something like that?
it's at the house. It's over at Highland Park. It's a Highland Park thing.
Yeah.
But they ran the Texans to Kansas City, and they became the Kansas City Chiefs. They were Dallas Texans. And when Dallas came, that was part of the negotiation. They went to not the AFC, but the American Football League at the time. And obviously they made their bones there. But the Hunt family, who also owns the Major League Soccer team here,
Yeah, FC
FC
Dallas.
Dallas.
they've always lived here.
Yeah.
And their home has always been here. And so, yes, they're neighbors with Jerry Jones. And so I'm certainly they will have a little wager on that game. You can't do that. You got to sign waivers, work for the NFL. You can't wager on games. They have a friendly family, What is our thing?
Sleeper?
Sleeper. They'll do some sleeper type thing on that game.
Well, the Chiefs have been victorious the last couple of times, right? Like the last 2 times?
No. The Chiefs won the last game. The last time they played in Dallas, the Cowboys won. And that was before Patrick Mahomes became quarterback. That was in 2017. The Cowboys won in Dallas.
This is Mahomes'
AT&T
first
Stadium.
game at Cowboys AT&T Stadium in 9 years playing.
Yeah.
This is first game.
Texans,
At
Texas
Tech.
Tech.
AT&T Stadium.
That's right.
Yeah, Alex Smith was quarterback the last time we were here. But there was also the Tyreek Hill Hail Mary at the end of the first half.
That was crazy. I remember that.
That was at AT&T Stadium.
I remember that.
Everybody's playing back, and Tyreek Hill did some
It's so funny to call it a Hail Mary, though.
He ran by your boy.
scandal. Why you got to do throw scandal on me? It wasn't just it was 11 people on the
He
field.
ran by your boy.
Yeah, it's like he ran
Talk
by
about,
my boy.
talk about a historic Kansas City and Dallas game. I was a part of the Cowboys with the great Miles Austin game.
Right when he broke out, I was there.
When he broke out,
When he broke
right.
out in Kansas City.
A lot of people don't know the backstory to that. If you remember that game,
you told me this, yeah.
Tell him.
Roy Williams hurt his ribs, I believe, and so they were discussing who was going to start that game.
Was you in the running?
No, I wasn't in the running of this one. I wasn't in the running of this one.
Cisco game all over
I wasn't in the
again.
running of this one.
They don't want me to start. I've been working starting all
Yeah,
week.
I was ready. I was ready. But the backstory to that is there was a coin flip because it came down to Miles Austin and Sam Hurd.
Wow.
Who was going to start opposite? Who was the starter? Patrick Crate was the other starter, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And it was a coin flip because Miles Austin and Sam Hurd, they played kind of the same role. Like, Miles ascended a little bit quicker than Sam, but Sam was a special team guy, but Sam could play everywhere.
Right.
And there was a coin toss the night before because Coach Garrett and Coach Sherm could not decide who was going to start the game. Right. Talking about the story of the tale of two stories.
Man.
A coin flip sent Miles Austin to a record-breaking day. And
a record-breaking contract.
And
Sam had to make his money another way.
And Sam went and made money a different way that got him some record-breaking years behind
bars.
behind the bars, behind the ball. But I've always been fascinated by that was a coin flip.
That is crazy.
That determined
How wild is that they could not come to a decision and you're like, all right, we'll just flip a coin.
Well, see, and that's what's so crazy is that we evaluate players. No, we evaluate players like you watch tape.
Yeah.
And that's what kills me about the tape watchers, okay? Because they think they know everything about a player based on watching tape.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of context and backstories, yeah.
With all that, but again, you're essentially just watching tape. So here are two guys who the Cowboys, homegrown Cowboys, who they watched in camp, watched in ever. They couldn't decide who was better. And if you watch their careers, there's no question who was better. But they watched them in practice. They had more than a 20-minute interview.
You didn't have to take a shot at Joe.
I'm just having fun. It's love.
He's taking a shot as I head out to go on vacation. Do we have any super chats?
Listen, but I'm just saying though.
I think we do.
You don't know. You can't know. They couldn't even know. Yeah.
All right, let me say this last one. Here's this Dro knows. Hey, Derek Eagleton, because I know you watching. Can you swap the show host and let Jesse go to the players' lounge? Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
We're not doing Cowboys.com stuff. No.
We're not doing
My bad. I thought we had a super chat.
No, it's all good. Yeah, that's all good. All right, man. Let's close this thing out. We'll be back tomorrow. BET edition, because Joe, you're leaving tomorrow.
leaving.
All the white guys get to go on vacation.
We got kicked out of town like the
We gotta
Dallas
work, man.
Texans.
It's a black job. It will be a
Come
black
back
job
and
tomorrow.
Join us on the DLLS Cowboys podcast. And as Jeff say, be kind to everyone because you never know what's going through. And as I say, eliminate the contingencies.
We gotta get Elijah back to produce.
We all silly like the mayor.